Welcome back to This Already, the final segment of today's Price of Business. And it certainly has been eclectic and busy. And I'm delighted to wrap it up with my friend Tom Taormina. And he is a consultant extraordinaire, a person who is a pioneer in our space program, one of the men who made that happen. And his website is awesome. It was rocketscience.com. And he'd like to bring some of that rocket science back to the way we do business today, and certainly would love to at least bring some fundamental intelligence to Congress. And we're going to focus today on what he would perceive as a great agenda for that new Congress that's coming up to pursue to put America back on a healthy track. How are you, Tom?
Top of the morning, Kevin. I'm great. How are you?
Great, thank you. Real quickly, tell us about what your firm does, and then let's get into our topic.
We help companies be the best that they can possibly be, and that's anything from tuning you up to sending you to Mars. You tell me what you want to do, and we'll get there.
Yep, very good. And we talked a little bit about the fact that we have a new Congress earlier this week. We wanted to continue that conversation. Actually, it was last week. We wanted to begin this week on the same topic. First of all, obviously, we're both certainly glad to see what has to be an improvement over what we had over before. And we also talked about some of the misgivings and the realities that we face of a president who will probably veto much of this. But my big deal is that Congress should give the American people a reason to keep voting for him. Republicans should keep giving them a reason. And who cares if the president says no? Let him become the do-nothing president. Let them be the do-something Congress. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I see this opportunity as golden. If we don't seize it, we're a bunch of idiots.
So what should that agenda look like?
Well, I think what we have to do is return this country to greatness. We've lost all of the hallmarks of us being the leaders in the space race, the leaders in technology, the leaders in manufacturing. The word leadership has dissipated from our vocabulary, and we've become a bunch of managers. We've become a bunch of czars, if you will. I don't know where that term came from, but we need to start focusing on leadership.
Right, and so what's interesting is that, it seems like this administration has been in the chaos and crisis business, and instead of returning to rule of law that eliminates that, they've replaced it with a dictatorial style that includes czars.
Well, we've turned this representative republic into a monarchy of some sort. I'm not sure how we've allowed that to happen. It's apparent from all of the dialogue on the internet, on television the last couple of weeks, that people have awakened to say, how did we do this? Was I asleep at the switch when all this happened? But
yep.
Yes, the monarch in Washington, D.C. is dismantling our Constitution every day.
Sounds like we have a little fading in and out, and so I don't know if you may be moving or so, but if you could find a singular place, it might help us a little bit. Just a little bit, we have you fading. So let's talk about some of the key areas. And one of your hot topics, and I would consider one of your areas of expertise, is manufacturing. What should the Congress focus on in restoring that?
Well, manufacturing and American products and American services. We have summarily decided that we can't compete in the international marketplace by building products in the United States, and we've abdicated the manufacturing to Mexico and China and a number of offshore destinations. So our business leaders, if you will, have just taken the easy road out. It's worse than that. They have in taking that easy road out, they have given up on quality, reliability, and safety in our products. So I would like the Congress, if there is any leadership forthcoming, to start looking at how do we get the business leaders together once again and say, make American, buy American. It can be done. We can compete. I work in this every day. There is absolutely no excuse for us to settle for the mediocrity that our manufacturing has fallen into.
Awesome. And what about the tax situation? You know, the United States has now the worst tax environment, particularly for business, of any industrialized country in the world. What should they begin to tackle there?
Well, in my nearly 7 decades of being on this planet, I've seen the tax rates go from sky high to reasonable to unreasonable again. And taxation, to me, is a necessary evil to have a militia and to run a central government. It's not necessary for burdening business people with unnecessary dollars that go nowhere in furthering the common good.
Yeah.
So, if Congress wants to stir entrepreneurship, stir the American manufacturing resource back into our glory days, it's time to relook at the tax structure. We just voted down a margin tax in Nevada that would have been crippling to small business. I don't know where these folks think they are, what they're doing with this money that it could possibly help all of us.
Yeah, and they like to quote the good old days of Dwight Eisenhower and say how he was a good Republican but still had massive taxes. And it's true. They were 20 points higher than they are today. But, you know, the world is so much more competitive now than it was back in the 1950s. The British got a sobering lesson in this when Gordon Brown was defeated and on his way out was able to pass a massive tax increase on the top 10% of the population, and within a few years, half of them had moved their residence for taxing purposes to other countries, leading to a plummeting of revenue. Seems like to me competition would tell these businesses that the last thing you want to do is to have the highest taxes among your competitors. Talk about that.
Well, again, that assumes that the person sitting in the Oval Office has any clue about free enterprise and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the backbone of our free country, and whether you call it entrepreneurship or capitalism, the fact is that people like me who have businesses, who start businesses, who help businesses, need a free rein to do the right things. There are a lot of wrong things being done, but in every organization I belong to, we have a self-policing group within the organization. And when you sign up for the American Society of Quality or the Institute of Management Consultants, you agree to abide by their tenets and their rules. And we don't have any more rules.
Yep. Tom Taormina has been our guest. One last thought before I let you go. Your thoughts on regulations, because I think the United States now have among the most inconsistent, incongruent regulatory environments in the world. Federal government contradicting state, state contradicting loco. A little bit about that before we wrap it up.
Well, what are regulations for? Are they to keep us from harming ourselves? Are they there to keep would-be predators from harming us? We have just legislated ourselves into a box. We can't turn around without having to fill out some federal form. It's time to start having people be accountable for their own actions, don't you think?
Yep, I think you're absolutely right. Tom Taormina, it was rocketscience.com, and I've read now 2 of your books. I encourage the listener to read your work as well. Very forward-thinking, and it's amazing such forward-thinking got forced really in the 1960s, and to a certain extent, didn't it, Tom?
Absolutely.
Well, I love what you do. Thank you very much, sir. We're going to get you back on soon again. I am Kevin Price. Make sure you check out Tom and more at priceofbusiness.com. Have a great day spending it right here.